Online 24/7. Tag Community Voice Radio. The radio station for Thurrock's BAME community. Subscribe, listen live, and download our app from the Apple and Google App Stores.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's program live from Tag Radio Essex. My name is Aliyah Dayami and I have with me
Juan Santiago.
Grace Funny.
So guys, today we have a very special guest from the Essex Police. Do you mind introducing yourself to our listeners, sir?
No, thank you very much for having me. I'm PC Neil Brand.
Don't forget to call us on that line on 07920 026 470.
Yeah, and you can also follow us on our various platforms at Facebook, Instagram, at YouTube, at Tag Radio FM. So, we're going to ask you some questions about your job as a police officer. So, can you tell us the role of a police in in maintaining community safety?
Just a little bit of background on myself first as well, if I can, and then I'll link into community safety. So I've been a police officer for over 28 years, all within the Thurrock district of Essex Police, mainly in community policing and obviously evolving around community safety. So Thurrock is actually one of 14 districts in Essex Police, and Essex Police as a whole, we have over 5,500 police officers, staff and volunteers now, which is the most police officers we've ever had in our history. Obviously, the simple way to put how police work in community safety is simply to help people, keep people safe and catch criminals, which is what most people I think of as us obviously arresting people that are doing things that they shouldn't be, stuff like that. However, I'd say quite a big thing is about prevention and actually stopping people from committing antisocial behaviour or crime. Because if you ask most people, I'm sure they'd rather not be a victim of crime of antisocial behaviour in the first place. And I think something that we've probably got a lot better as time's gone on now is around communications and engagements with our communities. So the role I actually do is probably one of the newest roles in Essex Police, albeit it's about 4 years now it's been going, and that's around community safety and engagement, and that's doing things like today, with young people going into schools, going to youth groups and just talking to them and obviously answering their questions about all different things and stuff like that. And then finally, I'd say it's about us working in partnership, whether it's Thurrock Council, Essex Fire and County Rescue, the Health Service, Neighbourhood Watch, all these other agencies all working together to basically make Thurrock a nicer and safer place for everyone to live.
Thank you very much for that.
We were wondering if you could talk to us about how young people can contribute to crime prevention and community safety in Thurrock.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. I'd say firstly, in just being good role models in the first place, to whether that's your younger siblings or younger students at school, college or at the workplace, wherever you are. And I say obviously for young people about getting involved, like obviously everyone here at Tag Radio, literally it's a good thing to get involved with. Obviously Thurrock has the youth cabinet here as well, and we go and talk to them. We also have our independent advisor group, and I think I'm right in saying that Lionel, who is a member of the youth cabinet, is actually our first young person on our IAG. I think sometimes a lot of people think, oh, it's just boring old people, but actually it'd be nice to get young people involved so they could have a say as well. I'm sure most people have heard of Crime Stoppers, but I don't know if young people have heard of something called fearless.org, which is actually the youth arm of Crime Stoppers, and they are literally open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, where literally you can give information about crime anonymously, 100% anonymously. We will never know where that information has come from when it comes through to the police. And then finally, I mean, whether this is for young people, but I'd say it's probably for everybody, it's about treating others as you wish to be treated. That was advice my mum gave me a long time ago when I was younger, and I try and follow that as much as I can.
Thank you.
I mean, we recently did a show on bullying awareness. So, how do law enforcement agencies handle bullying cases and community crimes?
So I think anything that comes into the police normally is recorded as an incident. It will either then become a non-crime incident or it will be a crime incident. It's all recorded, an investigation will take place, and then to be honest there's so many different variables as to where that could end up, whether it's a simple informal warning, a community protection warning, a caution, or even a trip to court or something like that. With sort of like bullying, and if we're talking predominantly probably at school and places like that, we do have our children and young person officers who work in partnership with the schools and the youth justice service as well, and try and shall we say help young people who perhaps maybe are making wrong choices, shall we say, and hopefully show them a different way and things like that. But also we have our education officers in partnership with the Essex Fire and County Rescue that will go round to schools and do inputs around specific topics, and I think it's just trying to educate some people about the possible consequences of it. But then again, I'd probably go back to what I said earlier about treating others. I'm sure most people don't like being called names, being physically assaulted.
Nobody would like that.
So if you wouldn't want it, should you do it someone else? And I think whenever we do that input at school, the young people are always very loud when they're coming back to us and saying, no, we wouldn't want that. So hopefully it'd be good if obviously follow that guidance, and then maybe we won't need the police. We live in a wonderful place, but
a crime-free zone.
And actually, I was just thinking as well, is obviously one of the thing I know. Obviously, this is on radio, but we've got I think we're doing for YouTube and stuff like that. You said stuff like that. So we do obviously the Walk Online Road Show. I think we've caught up after the COVID pandemic with all the year groups, but it's predominantly aimed at year fives, where we normally have about 750 young people in the morning, then in the afternoon, over a number of days, and talking about online safety, which does include obviously bullying, because I think obviously with mobile phones nowadays and other devices, young people can be sort of like, if you like, online, well, technically 24 hours a day. No, they shouldn't be. They should be going to bed so they're ready for school the next day. But it's trying to, again, education. I mean, I was a schools officer for 14 years here in Thurrock, going around the school, so I believe very much in about education, telling young people and giving them the information so they can make those choices for themselves, and hopefully the right choices.
Okay. So can you tell us about how you tackle substance abuse and gang violence?
Yeah, so in Essex we have what we call Operation Raptor, which is actually the force-wide response to preventing and disrupting violent street gangs who obviously cause harm to our communities through their criminality, which is normally the supply and distribution of illegal drugs. The team will look to identify who these individuals are, and then look to obviously look to deter, disrupt what they're doing, ultimately taking enforcement action against them, and obviously some people might have heard of things called gang injunctions, which is a very powerful tool to use, which actually will tell an individual where they can go, who they can hang around with, what they can actually do on social media. And if I remember rightly, there was one where it was said that he couldn't actually wear a hoodie, so it actually even was telling them what clothes you can and couldn't wear. So they're quite important. But I think also within that we recognise that there is a safeguarding element as well, and some of those young people involved in it maybe not actually there out of choice, or they're there through something they believed was a wonderful way of life, and then as time goes on realise actually maybe it's not something they want to be involved in. So we do have a safeguarding team within Operation Raptor that will look to obviously safeguard and engage with the vulnerable adults and children affected by gangs and gang violence.
Some people are easily pressured and exploited into criminal activities. How are you able to conquer that?
So I think through some of the things we sort of mentioned earlier with our safeguarding team within Operation Raptor, and through the educational stuff that we've done previously, trying to show young people the consequences, if you like, of possibly their actions, and literally try and do that early intervention with them to hopefully direct them away from perhaps that way of life. But obviously some of the advice that we give most of the time, especially at the Walk Online Roadshow, is about saying to a young person, if they ever find themselves in a situation that perhaps they don't want to be part of and they want to move away from it, escape from it, is actually first thing to do is actually tell a trusted adult, whether that's someone at school, us, albeit I know some people might think, well, I'm not going to tell the police. Fair enough, but tell a trusted adult to you about what's going on. And even with, obviously I mentioned fearless.org earlier, even there they have information and they can sort of like signpost young people to advice and information to hopefully help them make different choices, shall we say.
That was what we did in our recent, I told you we did a recent show on bullying and awareness. That was also the advice we gave to young people who are in that position.
Yeah, and that, it's really good advice. And I know for some young people it might be difficult to take that, but sometimes once they take that first step, as they get along, they'll see it gets better and better. It's a bit like this interview. I think to begin with, it's a little bit like my heart was pounding away, but as time moves on, you think, oh, it's not too bad actually. You can enjoy it, and things get better. So any young person in that situation, make that first step. It'd be the best thing you've ever done, to be honest.
It will.
We were wondering, how do you build trust and maintain positive relationships with the community? And if you could, would you be able to give an example?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question and a very important part within policing, because obviously we police with the consent of the public, and obviously effective community engagement is at the heart of the Essex policing plan. We recognise that in addition to using enforcement powers to deal with crime and antisocial behaviour, obviously a key role is to engage with our partners, our communities. As they say, it's good to talk, and as I said, this is literally my role. Community safety engagement officer didn't exist when I joined Essex Police way back in 1995, but in 2020 Essex Police realised there needed to be a change and they introduced this new role. So it is specifically about going out there. So we are involved with the independent advisory group, where people can come together and literally listen to the police, but actually they have a voice. They can actually say things to us, talk about incidents that may be causing concern, community tensions, and obviously we can get the views of the many diverse communities. And Thurrock is probably actually the most diverse district out of 14 that are in Essex Police. You can go on the Essex Police website. It will talk about IAGs. Obviously we have one in Thurrock, and actually in Thurrock we've even developed it to now where we actually have a stop and search body worn video review panel that's come out of IAG, so they can actually watch a stop and search and then give feedback to us.
Right.
It's totally independent and stuff like that. Other things we do, myself and my colleague, we run the Let's Talk drop-ins, where literally we'll go to a place, predominantly libraries, hubs, information centres, sometimes CAFs, garden centres, where literally we advertise it. We're there for an hour, whether that's in Stamford Hope, Corringham, Bulford, Horndon, Allsit. But funny enough, interestingly, we're actually the funeral directors. I think we're the only place in Essex that actually holds a drop-in in the funeral directors, but they were really good to offer their space, because obviously I know probably a lot of people realise there is only one police station in Thurrock now at Grays. So by going out to the people, they can obviously come along. I recognise that not everyone can come to our Let's Talk, because a lot of time they're during the day. We do them at weekends as well as weekdays, But there are community forum meetings out there, and we try and get our beat officers to go to those. They're obviously normally in the evening, when perhaps maybe the majority of people are not working, and they can go to those. So we'll try and obviously engage with those as well. Obviously social media, we have our own, well, Essex Police has its own Facebook page, but even us as a district. So if you want to check us out, it's EP Thurrock. You can check us out on Facebook. I'm guessing probably for you young people, you're probably more likely to be on TikTok.
Yeah.
We don't actually have TikTok yet. There has been discussions about it, whether it happens or not. I don't know. I mean, I was quite like put over to you guys and your listeners.
It
What
would be
would they
good.
feel is the best way for us to engage with young people?
Mm.
I mean, on new social media platforms, it would be good for police to like interfere with it, because you can create an ad, like to just pop on whenever on TikTok. It would be really good.
Yeah, cool. I think some people, they all seem to think they wanted to see me dancing. I don't know what that was, what that was about. Who knows whether I do that. Other things as well, obviously the Essex Police website I mentioned before, there's lots of things on there, but actually one of the really good things is you can actually go on there, it's called Your Area, and you can actually see what's going on crime-wise, and there's even a map where you can actually zoom in down to road level, and you can actually see if there's any crimes going on. Also on there is a list of our Let's Talk events, so you can see when we're next going to be in your area, if you're not on Facebook and you've not seen it on there. And then probably one of the newest things that we introduced at the end of last year was called Dispatch. So it's basically an electronic newsletter. It comes out weekly, every Wednesday at noon. There is one on a Monday, which is the Essex Police one, but there is one that's specifically for Thurrock, and it will be telling you about all the stories in the sense that have been going on around with the police, but it also has crime prevention advice, Ask the Police, which is a way that people can actually ask a question. I'm trying to think what else is on there. List of our events. Yeah, so check it out. If you just put in Dispatch Essex Police, you can subscribe to that. And I think obviously by doing all those sort of things, and like this, pop-ups that we do at train stations, supermarkets, stuff like that, just by being out there and obviously just being able to capture what people are feeling, what they're concerned about. Hopefully we might be able to reassure them. Sometimes we have freebies to give out, which always goes down well. We've normally definitely got a pen. Most people want pens, but we do sometimes have alarms, purse bells. Always goes down well, predominantly with our elderly communities and stuff like that. So anything, and we're always open to new ideas. Whether they get to take off or not, who knows, but we're always happy to take on board new ideas and new locations for drop-ins and that.
Thank you. We were also wondering, like, what kind of training did you do to go through to become a police officer?
Okay, well, it's probably changed a lot since 1995, but for me, it was, I went away to a place called Shotley, which was an old naval base where I think I spent about 4 months, where you do a lot of training, you do scenarios, classroom inputs, even sort of like drill practice, fitness tests. Probably in those days we had just normal tests. I think nowadays, unfortunately, they have to do actual exams and stuff like that. But a lot of it is probably still the same around scenarios, classroom inputs and stuff like that. But I would say probably for this job, it's actually going out there and doing the role and actually interacting, if you like, with real people, with real issues, problems, and then looking how you can help those individuals solve those issues and hopefully make a positive impact for them, which then obviously helps us trying to always looking to improve the perception of Essex Police with the people out there. Yeah.
Thank you.
If you were to give an advice for someone interested in pursuing a career in law enforcement, what would it be?
Firstly, it'd probably be go for it. Basically, don't give up. I use myself as an example. At 21, I lived in Barking and Dagenham. I actually applied to the Metropolitan Police, and that's where I lived. got through all the interview stage, went to Hendon for a 2-day assessment, but then was told I was a bit too young and I needed some life experience, which obviously was pretty annoying at the time. But 3 years later, saw that Essex Police were advertising, didn't give up, went for it, and obviously 28 years later, here I am, still working for them. So you can go on the Essex Police website, where it'll show you, obviously, whether I think we are recruiting at the moment for police officers, but actually there are a lot of people I think that want to work for the police, but actually probably don't want to be a police officer. And we do have, as I mentioned earlier, police staff, and they could be crime scenes investigators, admin staff, vehicle technicians, all like that. There's a load of police staff in the background and even at the foreground, like our PCSOs, who would quite happily work without being, if you like, that frontline police officer, because not everyone wants to do that. So you can always check those out. Obviously, for young people, we have our police cadets, so you could actually start at 13, come and be a police cadet. So there's those sort of things, and don't give up, keep going.
Thank you. What do you find most rewarding about being a police officer?
So for me, funny enough, it's about public engagement and talking to people, having those conversations, and trying to be there for them and reassure them and stuff like that, and hopefully actually make a difference in someone's life. And what's quite nice sometimes, I was at an event the other day, and someone actually came up to us and started speaking to us and stuff like that. I'd actually met them probably 20 odd years ago at an incident, but they had obviously remembered it, and just knowing that you've made a difference is quite rewarding. There's other things where I think I got an award for the work. Well, actually, I got invited to an award ceremony, but I thought I was just there for a meal, really. And then all of a sudden, next thing I'm being called up and being presented with a certificate and stuff like that. Which was really touching because it came from the community and stuff like that. But I suppose my biggest and proudest thing was that back in, how many years ago was it now? Whenever it was the Queen's 70th years, it was probably a couple of years back, and actually I got nominated by the community to be one of the flag bearers as part of the thank you parade. So I actually got to walk down the mall, take part in the pageant, and all stuff like that, which was pretty amazing. And it was actually my birthday as well. So
That's nice.
that's something that I probably won't forget. Probably one of the nicest things that I won't forget for the rest of my life. So yeah, when it comes from the community, then it's nice.
Special, isn't
Yeah,
it?
definitely.
Thank you for coming in today and for answering our questions. We really appreciate it.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
We really thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. You've made it quite a nice experience. I was, like I said, a little bit nervous to begin with.
Yeah.
I think we were all nervous because you're policemen.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I know that. I think some of that sometimes stems, I think, unfortunately, from parents when they're younger, saying to their kids, if you don't behave yourself, the police will take you away. And we're like, no, don't say that to your children, because who's the first person you want your child to go to when they're in trouble?
Exactly.
Police.
The
The police. But if you've told them at a young age, they're going to take you away if you don't behave yourself. And then unfortunately sometimes I think that nasty people out there, if we can call them that in a sense, will use that.
It goes
Yeah.
That's it.
They
And say,
do.
don't want to trust. Well, I think it's the feds at the moment seems to be the in word for us. I mean, we've been called many things over the years and stuff like that. So, but you don't need to be afraid of us. We don't bite. Well, as far as I know, we don't bite and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say we're all perfect. Unfortunately, we have seen some terrible things sometimes come out, but the majority of police officers and staff, from what I see, are decent people trying to do a good thing, And obviously by working with the public together, we can basically make those nasty people, if you like,
Good people.
stop what they're doing, whether it's crime, antisocial behaviour or whatever, so that actually we can all get along, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we're all just human beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all in the unity, isn't it?
Yeah,
You're allowed to be united.
definitely. We're on one planet,
Exactly.
Yeah.
so let's take care. I'm going off on a tangent now, but let's take care of it.
Yeah.
And actually all get along, because actually we probably all want the same thing in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be happy,
Okay.
probably have a nice holiday.
Yeah. And safe.
And, yeah. So, but no, thank you very much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for
Thank
having
you so
us.
much.
And thank you for our listeners for tuning in. For more updates, please follow our social media accounts. And thank you for listening, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.